guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ntshadi and this is Doll Up. So if you're a regular schmegular on the channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button so you can become a doll, okay? And if you are new on the channel, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It's nice. Oh, the way I watch I think Leonte, it's different, honey, it's different. Please, I'm not gonna steal that, but you know, do the right thing. Press that like, press that subscribe. So today we are talking about contraceptives. It's a very sensitive topic. Today we're talking about contraceptives. We are talking about family planning. We are talking about Planned Parenthood, and we are talking about taking autonomy of our own sexual health. And that's how I want to go about this topic. And I have my book with me. I'm going to be looking down here. I wrote some notes because I'm using my phone to film. And I want to put out a disclaimer for this video because it's an awkward video for me to make. I wasn't really comfortable making it, but I'm just like, you know what, let me put that information out there. If I'm not the big sister to share the information, then who will? Because we're all going to be awkward about it and we're all not going to share it. You know what I mean? So the disclaimer is that to all my Christian brothers and sisters out there, I am not promoting premarital sex, adultery, promiscuity and all of those things. I am simply putting out information for women to take charge of their sexual health, have bodily autonomy, and have babies when they want to have babies without feeling like they don't have options and trapped in circumstances, right? So let's get into the video. So the contraceptive that we're going to talk about is the one that I'm using, which is the Copper IUD. And I inserted it a year ago, around Feb. It's been almost a year now, or over a year now that I've inserted it. So I'm going to talk about my year experience, the insertion, everything that I've experienced in this year, and why I chose this particular contraceptive. The reason I chose Copper IUD, and also another thing is that I have not used any contraceptives before in my life. I have not used hormonal contraceptives, the pill, injection. I have not used hormonal contraceptives. And the reason I chose not to use hormonal contraceptives before or ever, it's because I am a thick girl, okay? I will gain weight by eating 1 spoon of ice cream. You understand? I am that girl that will eat 1 slice of pizza and all of a sudden I got thick thighs. And I'm like, no. So for me, when I was thinking about it, I'm like, I'm going to take a hormone, put it in my body, and somehow I must be the lucky girl that doesn't gain weight. I'm not going to be the lucky girl. I'm going to be the unlucky one that gains 20 kilograms. So I'm not going to put myself through that. So I never took contraceptives ever in my life until last year. And I was 22 when I inserted it. Yes. So that's why I chose the Copper IUD, because it is non-hormonal. It is the only non-hormonal contraceptives that I know of, except obviously protection, and by protection I mean condoms, and like the tracking, like using your period calendar or whatever to track when you're ovulating. Those are the non-hormonal choices that you can use to prevent. And this is the one that I saw fit to be more appropriate for me. And so the insertion process, that's what we're gonna start. The insertion, is it painful? It is 100% painful for someone who doesn't have a baby. I heard people who have babies experience an immense amount of pain. Well, since I don't have one, I don't know what that experience is like. So that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life, because they take this thing that looks like a seasoning. I don't know what the utensil is called. I should probably know it because I'm a medical student. And then they open your cervix. That pain, my boy, that pain, okay? It is extremely painful, and they suggest that you go when you're on your period. And unfortunately, I thought I was smart. And it was my first time visiting a gynecologist. Clinical, not clinical, like did a family planning. It was my first time doing that. So I don't know, how do I like go there and like be on your period? Like it just looks weird for me, like be on your period and then like do I take off my clothes in front of you when I'm on my period? For me, it was something that I hadn't experienced before, so I was not comfortable with that. So I was just like, let me go and suck up the pain. It was the most painful thing ever to open up, but it's like 10 seconds of pain and then they insert it and there is immediate cramping that comes with it. I couldn't even walk because I inserted it at a government hospital, okay? We'll talk about that at the end. I inserted it at a government hospital, so I had to walk back to Raise. And oh my God, I couldn't walk. It was the worst pain of my life. Immediately after I inserted it, I went back to Raise and I passed out for the whole day. I took painkillers and they give you antibacterial, what do they call these things? Antibiotics. They give you antibiotics just in case, you know, you get a UTI or yeast infection due to the process of insertion or whatever. And that's what I did. But the process is very painful. And immediately you get, not to be graphic, but you get your period for like 2 days after that. And then after that, you're fine. So that's the insertion. And do you feel it? No, you don't feel it once it's inside you. I think that's what I like about it, because I don't think I'm disciplined enough to take a pill each and every single day. So like you get it and you forget about it. That's what I like about it. And then thirdly, I was good. You feel it. You don't feel it when it's inside of you. It's like once it's there, it's gone. But every month after your cycle, you have to feel the second thing. The second thing I want to talk about is your period. I want to talk about my period before and how it changed after. Your period is going to change with the copper IUD because it is a metal and a foreign item that is inside your uterus. And during menstruation, it is the walls of your uterus, the endometrium, that like sheds, right? So if you put something in that particular area, your body's bound to react. So I had before a regular period that goes for about 4 to 5 days, consistently. I know on this day it's coming, and right on the clock each and every 28 days. But now it's a movie, it's a film, because I feel like I go on my period every other week. It's like, but also for me, it's a consequence that I'm willing to deal with, unlike the hormonal consequences. I think you have to weigh your pros and cons when looking to do this thing, because at the end of the day, there is pros, there is cons. So maybe someone will look at this as a con. I look at it as a pro, because it's like, okay, I get to get my period just for an extra like 4 days. Not like 4 days consecutively, but I'll have my period for like 4 days now, and then after another 2 weeks I'll have it again. So it's no longer as 28 days as it used to be. My cycle has changed. It is heavy flow, and I can't track it anymore. Unfortunately, there is no tracking. It's just like, oh, you are here now, let's deal with it. So that's how I'm dealing with it. For me, it's a pro. For other people, it might be a con. For me, I honestly don't care. As long as I'm not on hormonal, it's something I'm willing to deal with. And I saw somewhere they wrote if it gives you yeast infections or UTI more often than the hormonal contraceptives. I think, yes, it does affect, from my experience, it does affect your reproductive health as a whole. And you are probably going to take antibiotics more often, more cranberry juice, more pineapple, more often than you would if you were not on it, because it's a foreign matter and it's literally inside your uterus. So you're not to be more TMI, your discharge and pH might really be affected, and you just have to see your nurse or clinician about that and figure out a way to work around it. And I don't think it's a plane crash, because I haven't experienced to the fullest extent, but when I did experience it, I just go to the clinician and it's easy to sort out. You just take your antibiotics and make sure that you're good. And the process of getting it at a government hospital, hey, no shame. May God bless us with money, because we're really being subjected at government hospitals. So let me share my story first. I wanted to get it at Mary Stopes, right? I went there and it was like $350 at the time. I think you get like a reproductive student discount. I went to the one in Pretoria Central, the one more in Rudungyana, so I went there, and I think for me, the clinic itself was not for me. You know what I mean? The clinic was not for me. I went in there. I don't know if the person is actually a nurse or not a nurse, because, and then you sit there and for me, it didn't feel like a hospital. It didn't feel like a hospital. I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't feel like a hospital. So even when she was trying to do it, I just felt like the area was not sanitary enough for me to have that process done there. And I was like, no, I'm not comfortable with this. Can we please stop? And then I opted to go to a government hospital, because I couldn't afford like a gynecologist. I went to a government hospital, Mojaj Mukari, and I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the names. Okay, I went to a government hospital, and the nurses were friendly. But just know that you're going to be subjected to people's opinions. The nurses, the doctors, the people around the room. You're going to be subjected to someone's opinions. A doctor walked in and asked, Hure, how old are you? And I said at the time, 22. And he was like, oh, at 22, I was in medical school. I think also because he takes you as someone from the community than a student. I'm a student in the university doing medicine. And because I didn't come there with my scrubs or a name tag showing that I'm a student, I came there like a normal civilian. You're going to say such a thing? You're like, oh, you're so young. When I was in medical school, I was I'm just like, sir. I think in that moment, because you're vulnerable, your legs are spread wide open, you're just like, you know what, let's get this process over and done with, and I'm not going to argue with you. So your karma will come for you and somebody else will do the fighting. I'm not going to do it. So just be sure that, and imagine me at 22. There are people that are watching this video that are 16, 18, 20, or whatever, how many years old. I think you can start getting it from 12 years. That want to get it done and will be subjected to those kinds of stupidity from doctors. And unfortunately, that's just the healthcare system in our government sector that we're subjected to. And hopefully one day we'll get enough money to get out of the system and that's what I was subjected to. The nurses were really friendly. The process with the nurses, I'm not saying government nurses what I'm just saying the nurses were really friendly with me, and that was my experience. The nurses were very accommodative. They explained everything to me. I'm going to have it for the next 3 to 5 years. I can remove it from 3 to 5 years and I'm secure. I don't have to worry about no babies. Okay, yes, I'm pretty. So yeah, that's my experience. If you have any other questions on the Copper IUD, please don't forget to leave them in the comment section or check me on Instagram at Nchadi Bukaba. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video.